man who does not restrain his own spirit is likened to a breached city without a protective wall, which means that you are open to all of your impulses and all of the demons and everything else if you do not restrain your own spirit. And the restraining your own spirit is an exercise in strength, Gevurah. But what you're really dealing with here is what Paul calls the flesh. The flesh is the part of you that's made of the clay, and the flesh just wants what it wants. You know, it could be food, it could be comfort, it could be sex, it could be whatever. The flesh just wants what it wants. And unfortunately, you're intimately connected to the flesh. So when the flesh wants something, what your tendency is to figure out a way to give it to it. So after lunch, as I'm saying, well, I really need to lose a couple pounds. I really don't need a dessert. Well, you can have one for lunch, but boy, we're going to really toughen up at supper. And, you've all been there, right? That's the flesh. At some level, you know that you don't want to have it do something, but it's talking to you, and what you wind up doing is figuring out a way that you can give it what it wants. Giving into the flesh, by the way, is not sinful. It is possible for you to go through life not violating a single Torah principle and be thoroughly corrupt. The Torah is written in negatives. Thou shalt not. So if you refrain from murdering anybody, you refrain from adultery, you refrain from theft, you refrain from taking the Lord's name in vain, there is still a whole lot of area where you can get into trouble. Most of us who are overweight, alcoholic, name your thing, didn't get there overnight. It was a slow process, no step of which was sinful. Years ago, there was a woman in the congregation whose mother was so obese that she was basically chair-bound. And this woman got sick, and we needed to get her to the doctor. And we had 3, 4, 5 strong men there to get her into a car to get her to the doctor. And every time somebody tried to move her, she would scream in pain. Every single step that this woman took to get herself into that condition was not sinful. She didn't intend to be that way when she was a slim 19-year-old girl. That was not what she envisioned for her life. But simply not paying attention over a period of years to small things wound up with her being a prisoner inside of her own body. And we all do that. Everybody struggles with something. I'm using this woman because it's out there for everybody to see. Most of our things that we struggle with are not out there for everybody to see. Now, the rabbis say, and I absolutely agree with this, that if it were not for the flesh, nothing would ever get done. Nobody would ever start a family. Nobody would ever start a business. Nobody would ever start a church. Nobody would ever do anything were not for the hungers of the flesh. So these things are not bad. But the point is, they need to be kept in check. In other words, you need to keep an eye on them because they don't inherently have any limits. So when you discover, chocolate, your body will shut down when you're immediately full, and by the time you shut down because you're immediately full, you've actually eaten more than you need. And then 4 hours later, you can do it all over again. So the mechanisms there will not keep your body in check. That's where strength comes in, Gevurah, where you are curbing your own appetites because you know at a higher level than your body knows that what you're about to do is not good for it, even though your body wants it.